The 49ers drop a tough game to the Jags, 26-21, and in that game they had 4 turnovers as a team, and Brock Purdy in his return, 2 interceptions and a huge fumble that hurt. And they're not screaming, but if you listen closely, you'll hear it in the background, the whispers, "Should we start Mac Jones?" I want to make this very clear for the Niners. They have a ton of injuries and a ton of questions. I mean, even in the game, you had people running to the medical tent, multiple wide receivers just trying to get in there, with Ricky Pearsall being in the tent, and then Jawan Jennings trying to run in there and just not having room. I mean, they're just an injured, battered team. They normally are, and this year it's kind of been honestly worse than most years. And one of the things that makes that tough is now you have different quarterbacks coming in. This game they had 6 drop passes. They do have a myriad of issues. Obviously, like we know, Nick Bosa out for the year. And that injury, you could see that on defense. They couldn't get any pressure on Trevor Lawrence. Fred trying as hard as he can to go out there and make plays. But ETN, you know what I mean? He's only one guy, and ETN kind of got him in the running game. And they just couldn't come up with some of those interceptions that could have helped change the game. All that being said, I think Kyle Shanahan was coaching his ass off on offense, because that Jags defense is for real. They were flying around, flying to the ball, and Brock Purdy just put the game in jeopardy and ended up losing them this football game. We just got to keep it a buck. The first interception he threw to McCaffrey, that one, well, Devin Lloyd caught it, but he was trying to throw it to McCaffrey. McCaffrey's jumping, and I mean, that's a tough play for wide receivers to make. And I know McCaffrey, basically this game, he had 90 yards, so essentially he was a wide receiver. But that's just a tough play to make. He's throwing it across his body high, and there are 3 people right there, and that one ends up being a pick. The second one to Lloyd, I mean, it was just absurd. Lloyd is just sitting there waiting for it, and again he's throwing it high across the middle, 3 people there. Purdy just threw so many flutter balls, knuckle balls, that just you can't throw those high across the middle passes, but those are the passes that he throws so often, and it just looks dangerous every time he throws that against a good defense. And even despite all that, they still had a chance to win the game. I mean, it wasn't like he was awful. He had 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. They were moving up and down the field. Like I said, Shanahan was really in his bag, finding little things against that defense. I do think it's a concern that they can't run the ball when he wants to do it. He's trying to do it every week, and they just don't have it right now. But all that being said, man, I mean, late in the game, you have a shot, you have a chance, and then Purdy, strip sacked, fumbles the ball away, game over. And that just ends up being the case. Now, they're only 3-1, right? Like, it's the world, the sky isn't falling. However, with all these injuries just mounting up, and the fact that now on Thursday, you got the Rams coming up, that's just any game in the NFL is just a tough game to lose. Especially one where you could argue they didn't really get outplayed. They just turned the ball over 4 times, and 3 of them are from your franchise quarterback who you just gave all that money, and that just can't happen. And Purdy had a lot of turnovers in game 1. They just ended up winning them against Seattle. This was his problem last year, just putting the ball in jeopardy. He's got to improve on that, because it's costing them. It cost them. We don't know if they would have made the playoffs. We don't know if they would have made any noise, but they were 6-11 last year. And it cost them this game, clearly. Like, they were moving up and down the field. The Jags were very frustrated. Now, other things, like I said, at play. The Jags had a punt return touchdown as well. There were 6 drops, but Purdy cannot turn the ball over in that situation. And it just makes you think. I can't lie. You got to think about it a little bit. Like, all right, who's really going to end up being the starter in this situation? And they love Purdy, all that stuff. But, I mean, Mac Jones, they look better in those 2 games with Mac Jones. I just got to be honest, than they have with Purdy, because he's turned it over 5 times in 2 games. So when you really look at that, I don't think it's a thing yet. But Jones already played. and it definitely could bubble up and become something as the season goes on. So keep your eyes on that. One thing that is an issue right now for the 49ers, though, is other than injuries, is their pass rush. Part of injuries is their pass rush with no Nick Bosa. It struggled against the Jags. I mean, Trevor Lawrence had all day to throw the ball, and no one was open, or he couldn't find anyone really open. But he had all day, and that is something where when you're playing defense, that's going to be tough to kind of maneuver around. But like we said, with the Niners coming up, big game against the Rams Thursday Night Football. That is huge. And then you get the Buccaneers and the Falcons. So that's going to be interesting. Buccaneers 3-0. And with Baker Mayfield out there and Todd Bowles, the defensive coach. And then you get the Falcons, who they're just up and down. They're a roller coaster ride. Again, most of the time this is the case, but specifically for this tough stretch with all these injuries, if you could get out of here with 2-1, phenomenal. I gotta, you know what I mean? I think they expect to beat the Falcons. So 2-1, you split one of those two tough games with the Rams and the Bucs. With all these injuries, with the myriad of injuries, you'd have to feel great as a 49ers fan. And really, I'm gonna look this up because no team, there's always one team that needs a bye. No team needs it more than the 49ers. And oh my gosh, do they ever get one? They don't get one until December. Good luck. Jeez. Theirs, it looks like, is what, week 1, 2, 3, 4. Theirs is week 13. Long way to go until then. So they just got to survive, keep just trying to put it together. And Purdy's just got to be better with the football. They're well coached with Salo in defense and Shannon on offense. They have chances to win these games. They put them in positions despite who's out there. And they still have players out there. I mean, this is why they went. They went in the draft. They got all these guys. They maneuvered their cap because those injured, high-priced people got hurt, and then the backups were in. Well, this year the backups are playing much better than those other fringe players. So we'll see what happens with the 49ers going forward. But that's definitely a question, what will happen with Brock Purdy. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to do weekly videos for each team. So we have playlists directed to your team and the week in the description. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Please like, subscribe, and most importantly, comment in that section. I'd love to talk to you guys about what you think about the videos, what could be improved, what I did right. Thank you again. Lumia Sports. Peace.